We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Thursday, March 13th. Another loaded slate of college basketball here today throughout the day. So we're going to start off with an early game at 9 a.m. and we're going to take you all the way to the nightcap at the very end, of course, of the night. Before we get into the best bets, folks, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Yesterday, a positive day, looking to build upon that here today. Let's get it going. And before we get into the best bets, make sure to go check out our NBA predictions later today on the channel in 3 hours. We'll have our NBA predictions headlined by the Lakers going to Milwaukee to take on the Bucks, as well as our UFC Vegas 104 predictions with Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze in the main event again over on Greedo Plays MMA. We have another video on Greedo Plays MMA that we posted that wasn't a prediction video yesterday, so make sure to go check that out. Again, all linked in the description down below. Go subscribe to that channel, subscribe to this channel as well, as we now get into the first of our 5 best bets for today. And we're going to start things off in the Big Ten. We're kicking the day off in the Big Ten. Give me the Hoosiers in Indianapolis. I've been waiting for this spot. Now, okay, Oregon got them the first time around in Eugene. That's fine. I don't care. Indiana is winning this second matchup. It feels like the Hoosiers are in. I really think they're in the tournament. You look at the bubble right now, according to ESPN, the last 4 in are San Diego State, who we're going to get to in a little bit, Indiana, Xavier, who we will talk about as well, North Carolina they have in, I think Texas should be in over them, but whatever, Texas, Ohio State, Boise State, Colorado State round out the first 4 out. I think Indiana's fine. Even if they lose to Oregon, it's not a bad loss. I think they're in the tournament regardless, because who's going to jump them? Yeah, Texas, but it would take Xavier to win today, North Carolina to potentially beat Duke, Texas to win another game, all for Indiana just to get bumped out. I think they're fine. I think Indiana can play their way in, though, to the last 4 byes, especially with West Virginia losing yesterday to Colorado. I could see Indiana jumping WVU, and I know the Mountaineers have had big victories this season, but I could see West Virginia potentially going into the last 4 in. They're obviously getting in the tourney, it's just a matter of where the Mountaineers end up. And Utah State's been playing some bad ball recently, too, so we'll see. And Vandy was horrible yesterday, my goodness, but I don't think Vandy's fallen out of that. Anyways, I like Indiana here. I've been waiting for this spot, obviously. We picked this game 2 games ago for the Hoosiers. They went to Eugene and lost. Not a great night for the Hoosiers, but it was a game that they were very competitive in. You're going to look at the final score, and they lost by 9 points. They didn't cover in that game. That was a back-and-forth matchup. The Indiana was up with 3 minutes left, and unfortunately, Oregon finished the game on a 10-0 run. Indiana was up by 1 point, and then Oregon again scores 10 in a row to close the game. Indiana just closed the game horribly. They did not have their best night, and they were still very competitive with Oregon on the road. I think Oumar Ballo did a great job against Nate Biddle. Nate Biddle had 14 points. 8 of those were at the free throw line. He went 3 for 10 from the field in that game. That's the type of game we want out of Ballo. I think Ballo's going to be okay in the second matchup. I keep saying every time Indiana plays, and I want Mackenzie Mbako to succeed. He's just not been good for this team, man. That first Oregon game, Mbako goes 2 for 10 and 2 for 5 from beyond the arc. Shout out to Trey Galloway. Again, I said it a while ago, I'm done hating on Trey Galloway. I think Trey Galloway is an excellent basketball player. Had the game of his life, obviously, in IU's senior day game against the Ohio State Buckeyes, obviously the final game of the regular season. Trey Galloway's been tremendous. And what a comeback Indiana pulled off again last weekend last weekend against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Absolutely tremendous stuff out of Indiana. We're going to keep riding the wave with the Hoosiers, though. I really am. I think this team's playing great. I like what they're doing with Ballo, obviously, at the 5. Potentially some sets with Malik Reneau, obviously, and Reneau coming into play and playing that big role as well. I like this team with the exception of Mackenzie Mbako, if I'm being completely honest with you. I really like what Indiana does. I think Trey Galloway again is playing right now. Obviously, he's probably done after this. Maybe he goes and plays basketball somewhere else, obviously, potentially overseas. I doubt he gets a shot. I mean, he'll probably get a shot in the summer league, but I don't think Galloway's an NBA player. But man, he is really, and I mean really, improved towards the end of this year. The floater game out of Galloway's been great. Obviously, dishing the rock, running the pick and roll with Oumar Ballo, and the 3-point shooting out of Trey Galloway has been excellent as well. For Oregon, again, I don't think Nate Biddle is going to be much of a factor tonight. I just don't think he is. Jackson Shellstad hit Indiana with some huge shots in their first game in Eugene, obviously. I mean, Shellstad hit some very opportunistic 3-pointers, and obviously that's what pulled Oregon away. And I get it. The Ducks have now won 8 games in a row going into this game. That's fine. They haven't lost since February 8th. I think this is where they do lose. Indiana, again, I think they're in the tournament, but they're playing right now. This is a game that could get them out the first 4. It could. If they beat Oregon, I think they will find their way into the last 4 byes. I could easily see West Virginia falling into this. I could easily see Utah State with the loss falling into this. I think Indiana would jump San Diego State, and trust me, we'll get to San Diego State in a little bit. And I think the Hoosiers would find their way into the last 4 byes. That's how crucial this game is for Indiana. If they lose, got to go to Dayton, which, sure, might kind of be a home game for the Hoosiers. Obviously, Dayton 2 hours away from Bloomington, but Indiana wants to get out of that spot. Oregon, we know Oregon's a tournament team. They've turned it around. They've come on as of late. Good for the Ducks. They know they're in. Everything's to play for here with Indiana. They're trying to immediately punch their ticket in the NCAA tournament, and I think they do it. I'm taking the Indiana Hoosiers. I just need Mackenzie and Baco today to not suck, okay? That's the message for today. As long as Mackenzie and Baco doesn't completely suck, Indiana will win. That's my message tonight. I don't think he's going to completely suck. And I think, again, as long as Shellstad doesn't hit some huge shots. I mean, the shot that changed the game in that first Indiana-Oregon game was Shellstad basically pulls up from the logo and sinks a 3 to put Oregon up by 2 points. It was ridiculous. It turned the tide of the game, obviously, and Indiana didn't score after that big 3-pointer. So as long as Shellstad doesn't pull anything out of his ass in this game, and Mbako doesn't, brick every single shot he takes, I like the Hoosiers to win. Give me Ballo again to shut down Nate Biddle. Indiana beats Oregon. Bring on the Spartans tomorrow. Bring on Michigan State. I think Indiana gets them. Just saying, if they can get there, they beat them in East Lansing, they'll beat them again. And we'll be back to this tomorrow again as long as Indiana wins. Real quick, we're going to look at the Big Ten tournament. Again, at the end of the video, we go over every single conference tournament. For now, again, this is the only Big Ten game I have today. We're going to go over this. Again, I have Indiana beating Oregon. I'm going to go Wisconsin, Northwestern. Shout out to Northwestern beating Minnesota. I'm going to take Wisconsin, though, to beat them. Illinois, Iowa. Iowa, again, eliminated Ohio State. NIT/Crown you go, Buckeyes. Iowa is going to lose to Illinois, though. Purdue, USC, I don't know. It's just Rutgers, man. We could have had that game yesterday. Give me Purdue. I'm not, again, I think Rutgers might have been able to get them. USC's not beating Purdue. Again, I still think we're probably going to see a UC, if I had to, again, I think Michigan State's good. I think Indiana might be able to upset them. If not, I think UCLA might upset them. I still think UCLA-Maryland championship game with Maryland winning it. Again, that could all change. That's just what I have for now in the Big Ten. Let's move on now to our second best bet of the video, and we move to the Big East. So we go from the Big Ten over to the Big East. Another big game here. Xavier is right on the bubble. This game would get them in no matter what. If they are able to go out here and beat a ranked team in Marquette, they are getting in the tournament. No doubt about it. They can skip the first 4 likely. I think they lose, though. I'm taking Marquette. I think Marquette turns it up here in the tournament. I think they do. I know Marquette's lost back-to-back games, but those losses are at UConn in a very competitive second game of the season against St. John's. Obviously, they went 0-2 and 0-4 against those two teams combined this season, but obviously those are the 2 best teams in the Big East. I believe so. I just do. Again, UConn today gets Villanova. I know there's some talk about, Nova might run the table in the Big East tournament. They might get in to the NCAA tournament. They're not beating UConn tonight, and if they somehow do that, they're not beating St. John's in the championship game. I like Eric Dixon. That team's not going anywhere, guys. Shout out to Georgetown losing to DePaul for the 3rd time yesterday. I want to see the Hoyas succeed, man. And I get it. Xavier's hot right now. They've played their way, obviously, into the bubble. This team looked dead to rights earlier in the season. They were 5-6 in the Big East. They were 13-9, and they have won now 8 straight games. They are now 21-10, 13-7 in the conference, and a win here would automatically put them in. A loss against Marquette, I still think they're in the tournament. I think they're just going to have to play in the first 4, obviously, because who's bumping Xavier out right now? I mean, Boise, yes. Texas, potentially. But I don't think North Carolina deserves to be in the tournament. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. I think they might put them in just because they are North Carolina. But, man, I think, again, if I had to make the bubble right now, I'm just going to say Vandy's in, even though they sucked yesterday. My last four buys, again, I think Indiana's going to win. So I'm going to say Vandy, Indiana, or Vandy, Oklahoma, Indiana. I'll go Utah State for now. My last 4 in WVU. I don't care. You lost to Colorado yesterday. Go play another game. West Virginia. I'll go San Diego State. Give me Texas. And then give me either Xavier or Boise State. But I would go Xavier over Boise State. Now, my San Diego State, Boise State picking a little bit might affect who we have coming out the Mountain West, or obviously getting a spot as an at-large. But I'd probably go that for now, and then we'll just see what happens with San Diego State and Boise State in a second. But I think, again, Xavier should be fine because I think at worst they're the last team in the tournament. Obviously, they got to go play in Dayton, which, again, is really close to them. Obviously, they're in Cincinnati. That'd be crazy if we got Xavier in Indiana in Dayton. I mean, that'd be a 50-50 crowd, I would feel like, even though I think Indiana's got a lot more fans. Regardless, I know Xavier's playing really good basketball right now. I'm not going to pick against Shaka and Marquette in the Big East tournament. I'm not going to. I know Xavier's playing well. I just think Marquette comes out of the right side in this one. Cam Jones averaging 19 this season. Obviously, David Joplin's been good. CV Mitchell. I just think the better team is the Golden Eagles. And that's really that's where I'm going to put this game. Xavier, they've got guys. Zach Freemantle averaging 17.5. Ryan Conwell averaged 16. Dalen Swain averaged 10.5 this season. I get it. Xavier's a good basketball team. You look at their wins in this win streak. They've beaten good teams too. But they're not the elite squads, though. They've beaten good teams, obviously, because everyone in the Big East is kind of decent, except for maybe like Seton Hall, Georgetown, DePaul. But think about the wins, though, right? Providence, good win in Rhode Island, all right. DePaul, Butler, Seton Hall, Creighton, Butler, Providence. Yes, the Creighton victory, winning that game by 22 points against, say, a tournament team in Creighton, very good victory. Other than that, my goodness, that's not that impressive of a win streak. I think we're overhyping Xavier a little bit. Again, they did what they needed to do, 100% to work their way back into the tournament. I'm not against, I think they're in regardless. And I know the bubble sucks this season, but I think Xavier's in. I just think in a must-win game, win or go home, Big East tournament game, I'm taking the all-around better basketball team, Marquette. I know they have back-to-back losses, but look at the teams they played. Excuse me. I think they're fine. These two teams split in the regular season. First matchup, Marquette went to Cincinnati and beat Xavier. Second matchup, super low scoring game at Marquette, and Xavier's got the better of them. I think the Golden Eagles have a better scoring night tonight, and I expect Marquette to beat Xavier here in New York, obviously at MSG in the Big East tourney, moving them on to the next round to take on St. John's. Because, I applaud Butler for their efforts yesterday beating Providence. They're not beating St. John's today. Other side of the bracket, Creighton, DePaul, Georgetown, you're an absolute embarrassment. Micah Peavy tried, but give me Creighton. UConn, Villanova, guys, this is Nova. They're the next NC State dream. No, it's not happening. Again, Eric Dixon, great player. UConn's the better basketball team. Dan Hurley's not losing right now. He's just not, okay? We're kind of forgetting about UConn. They're not as good as years past, but as long as they don't match up with like a St. Mary's in the first round, I get it. St. Mary's went 0 for 14 and from the three-point line and didn't beat Gonzaga the other night. But still, if UConn plays St. Mary's in the first round, St. Mary's is beating them. If UConn's playing New Mexico in the first round, New Mexico's beating them. Other than that, in any 8-9, 7-10 matchup, UConn probably goes on to the next round and probably makes a run to the Sweet 16. Just saying. Anyways, that's what I have. Right now, again, I still think St. John's UConn, Big East title game. We'll see. But those are my Big East picks for today. All right, let's move on now to our third best bet of the video. Full transparency, this is the third most confident pick this is the last least confidence pick I have today. Obviously, again, I like every game we have today because it wouldn't be in the video if I didn't, but I was deciding between this game and I'll just say it outright, Kansas and Arizona. I'm picking Arizona to beat Kansas. I still think that happens 100%. It's even odds. I like Arizona to win that game. That was my dilemma today. Am I taking this game between Boise and San Diego State, or am I taking Arizona to beat Kansas? I decided on this one. If you want to swap it out for Arizona, Kansas, you can. I don't care. I wouldn't blame you because this game does get a little tricky. I'm not gonna lie. This is a tricky game between Boise State and San Diego State at 2:30, obviously from Las Vegas, Nevada. I know what you're thinking. San Diego State has beaten Boise twice this season. I just don't like the way San Diego State's playing right now. And maybe it's just the UNLV game, because 100% just is. I watched that UNLV game. I was so unimpressed with San Diego State. I just was. I know they blew out Nevada like we expected them to, but it's different. Playing Nevada and playing Boise is just a big difference. I think Boise, talent-wise, is better. I know they just lost to Colorado State at home with their senior night in Boise, which is so disappointing, but Colorado State honestly isn't getting talked about enough as a sneaky, bubble squad. They are in the last four out right now. I don't think they're going to get in because of their, tremendously weak non-conference schedule and resume, losing to UW, losing to the cesspool known as UC Riverside, losing to Colorado on the road, right? Losing to VCU. You just got to win some of those games. And obviously that's what's really hurting Colorado State. Their only pathway to the NCAA tournament is by winning this tournament, this Mountain West tourney, which they are a 2 seed, right? Yeah, they play Nevada today. I expect Colorado State to probably win that game. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado State makes the championship game. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Boise, again, their only loss in their last 7 was Colorado State. The wins prior to that, they beat New Mexico at home. They beat Nevada, Utah State, Fresno State, Air Force, and obviously they lost to Colorado State. I just think Boise against playing much better basketball than the first 2 times they met up with San Diego State this season. The 2 times they played SDSU, it was just bad. The first matchup was early on in Mountain West play. It was Boise's first loss at home. Is what it is. They lose by 8 points. Second time around, they go to Viejas, and they just get blown out at San Diego State. They couldn't get anything going scoring-wise. Tyson Degenhart just didn't have a big night, and Boise just couldn't get going. I think it changes this time around. I really think it does. I think Boise, 3rd time's a charm. I do think they win this game. I think Degenhart and Meadow are too good to not beat the San Diego State team. A San Diego State team that on paper doesn't really impress me that much. I get they're a tournament team. They should be in, right? They beat Houston earlier in the year. They have a win over Creighton. They beat UCSD, which is, again, a very good victory now. They beat Cal out the ACC, right? They are a tournament team, right? I think if Boise wins today, though, and I don't know, if Boise beats them and the certain things go wrong for SDSU, I think they could fall out. But I think they're still in. I don't know. I think they're still, we'll see. It could get tricky. We'll see if North Carolina gets in. Depending on how we rank Texas. And then, honestly, what happens to Utah? No, Utah State should probably be in over them. I don't know. We'll see. They're kind of a 50-50 for me. Because, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, if Boise beats them today, are we still putting Boise in over San Diego State? Because technically, San Diego State's 2-1 against them. Boise's non-conference, lost to San Francisco, lost to Wazoo. Ooh, maybe actually then I would take San Diego State still over Boise. Maybe Boise needs 2 wins in this tournament. They might need to beat New Mexico or San Jose State, probably New Mexico. I still think they win this one, though. I think they beat SDSU. Again, I don't think San Diego State can beat them 3 times. I think this Boise team's too talented not to beat the squad, and they just had poor offensive outings in both their games against the Aztecs. And I get it. A lot of that has to be credited to the defense of San Diego State. They play solid physical defense. They don't let you, get great shots off. I think Boise overcomes that tonight. I don't think the Aztecs have been playing the best ball, and I think Boise goes in here and beats them. Again, I just don't know who gets in on the bubble right now. I don't know. It's tough. Like, again, even if Boise wins tonight, are they in over SDSU? We'll see. But give me Boise in this game. They are dogs. Or no, they're favorites. Wow. Give me Boise. I'm going to take Boise to win this. As we look now at the Mountain West tourney, I still expect New Mexico to win. I expect them, obviously, to beat SJSU today. I expect them to beat the winner of San Diego State and Boise State. Shout out to the Spartans. Almost choked their game away yesterday against Wyoming, but they won. Latrell Davis with 2 points, I think. Great. Colorado State, Nevada, give me Colorado State. Utah State, UNLV. I actually think whoever wins is losing to Colorado State. I get it. Colorado State has been, they were horrible non-conference, but they turned it around in the Mountain West. They do feel a little bit fraudulent, but I actually think they beat both Utah State and UNLV. Just the way Utah State's been playing, and the Running Rebels haven't been very good this year either. I actually think Colorado State, we might be able to get them at plus money tomorrow, and we'll probably get a decent spread too. Regardless of who they play, they're probably going to be dogs against UNLV, because obviously this tournament's in Vegas. Yeah, that's how I see it. I still think New Mexico wins, though, the entire thing, obviously. So we move on now to our next best bet, and we go to the MAAC. I mean, this is just a trend that we found at the end of the season. We went off Marist officially and just said, you know what, this is the worst basketball team on the planet, and I completely am going to keep upholding that. They're the worst basketball team on the face of the earth right now. They just are. I'm not saying entire season they've been this bad, but right now, yes, Marist is just that god-awful. They are. I don't follow Marist basketball on Twitter, but since I was looking at, I've been keeping track with basically every Marist game over the last 5 games that they played. I always get their tweets on my feed. So I always see, Coach of the Year, or a guy won Coach of the Year. I don't know his name, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Look at, Josh Pascalari today got named, I think, either Player of the Year in the MAAC or, all MAAC first team. That's great. Guys, this team sucks right now. They're absolutely awful. 4 straight losses, 4 straight games where they did not score more than 54 points. I don't care. They're not turning it around in this game. So we can talk about their 4 losses. This team was 20-5. They are now 20-9. They were a 20-5 team. They lose 67-54 at Sacred Heart. They lose to the Peacocks of St. Peter's 57-52. Merrimack beats them 75-53 on their home court on senior night. They go to Mount St. Mary's, lose 62-52. This is the worst basketball team on the face of the earth. I don't care. They are that horrible. This team is god awful. That's what they are. I'm sorry. I know this is harsh, but they're just horrible. Josh Pascalari, I'm sure he's a great basketball player. I have not seen it. Every single Marist game I've watched, Pascalari's been horrible. He's been so bad. He can't hit a 3-pointer. He can't hit a shot. I don't know. Maybe it's just whenever I turn on Marist, he's awful. and he's their best guy. I guess I give you guys the same rant every single time I talk about this team, but JCR, Jaden Collins-Roberts, doesn't do anything. Elijah Lewis, he doesn't shoot. I don't care who they're playing, and sure, it's the Mount today. Okay, we just had this game last weekend. What happened? The Mount beat them. Game was at Mount St. Mary's. Now, obviously, it is in Atlantic City, New Jersey, right? Yes, it's at Boardwalk Hall. It's a late night game, obviously, in Jersey. It's at 8:30 start time, local time, obviously, but that's fine. Give me the Mount again. Nothing changes from that first matchup. Guys, you can play on Pluto, you can play on Mars, you can play in New Jersey, you can play at Marist, you can play at the Mount. Marist can't shoot right now. They can't score. And it was a come-from-behind victory for the Mount. They were down big time in the first half. What happened? They just found their way back in the game. Kept on finding a way back. I think it was Jackson Price, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Jackson Price didn't look horrible in the first half, but then Jackson Price decided in the second half, you know what? I'm just going to keep fouling. I don't want to play anymore. There was a sequence, Jackson Price, the forward from Marist. There was a sequence in that game where I swear he had 3 fouls in the span of a minute. And he's just like, all right, I'm done with this game. Jackson Price was actually playing the best ball in that Marist team. First half, he went 3 for 6 from beyond the arc. And then he decided in the second half, you know what? I don't want to play anymore. I'm going to keep fouling. So, you know, if Jackson Price can stay out of foul trouble, he's not bad. He's the only guy who's playing with somewhat confidence right now. Dola Adebayo is, again, the guy from the Mount. I'm okay with him. He was pretty good in the last game. Terrell Ard Jr. is another one of their players. Dallas Hobbs. I'm okay with Mount St. Mary's here. They're not losing to Marist. Marist is just that god-awful. I don't really care that much about the MAAC, but we have to jump on this opportunity. I was going to say, oh, if Marist somehow wins, we'll pick against them in the next game against Merrimack. No, they're not getting there. This is a bargain that we get this game at these odds. They're not, I don't care. Mount St. Mary's is a 6 seed. Marist is absolutely awful. The Mount moves on to the second round. Iona, Manhattan. It's a game that could go either way. Give me the Gales. Quinnipiac, Iona. Quinnipiac probably. Iona could give them a fight, but give me Quinnipiac. Merrimack, Mount. Could go either way. Really could. I don't know. I just need to watch this game first between the Mount and Merrimack. Probably Merrimack. But honestly, those teams are kind of tight for me right now. I don't know who wins this conference. It's up in the air. Anybody but Marist, though. Marist is definitely not winning the damn thing. Manhattan, definitely not either. I guess Quinnipiac, But it's a tight conference for me, honestly. Let's move on now to our fourth best bet of the video. And we go, fifth. It's our last one, right? The nightcap. We go to the Big East. Not the Big East, the Big West. Yeah, we're talking about the cesspool again. I have to jump on it. I don't care. I told you guys yesterday we were going to jump on it, and this is exactly what we're doing. Cal Poly's beating UC Riverside. They just are. Come from behind victory yesterday against UC Davis. They were down 9 points at halftime. Cal Poly outscores the Aggies by 19 in the second half. Cal Poly now advances to the second round of the Big West tournament, and I think they get the Highlanders here. Let's get the cesspool out. Let's get them gone. I think Cal Poly is the better basketball team right now. UC Riverside, I get it. They've won 3 in a row to close the regular season. They're not going to be able to keep up offensively. They kind of did in the second matchup against Poly. The first matchup, UCR won. It wasn't a competitive game over in the cesspool itself, which is known as UC Riverside. At Poly, at SLO, they lost by 12 points. I've told that story a million times with that game. Just watch the game if you're really interested about it. It's the worst, all right? It is horrible. UC Riverside blew the worst lead ever. I'm just going to say that. It was the biggest meltdown I've ever watched. Since then, 3 straight wins. We did actually pick them to go to Hawaii and win. Back-to-back wins over CSUN and against Cal State Fullerton. Great. They get Cal Poly now. We said it yesterday. The same exact reasoning still exists. I think Cal Poly outplays this team, and that's what they did to UC Davis. They outrun this team in the second half, and that's what Poly did yesterday to Davis. They're going to do the same thing to Riverside tonight. Again, it is the constant quick offense and the shooting. Eventually, those shots are going to fall. With Owen Kuntz, who's their leading scorer, with Isaac Jesuip, who's a great shooter, Jared Hyder. These shots are eventually going to fall for Cal Poly. They just will. Again, I think Jesuip and Kuntz had Jesuip had 17, Kuntz had 18 last night. The shots will fall for Poly. They're going to outrun Riverside. And I, again, always thought at the beginning of the year, and like earlier in Big West play, I was like, okay, the way you beat Poly, you just dominate with the big, and obviously that big for Riverside is Joel Armatrading. Great defensive player. This is kind of crazy, I'm going to comp him to Rudy Gobert. Great defensive guy. He's going to give you blocks. He's huge. He's got a crazy wingspan. He's a very good defensive player. In a game against Cal Poly, I like Joel arbitrating. He does nothing for UC Riverside in this basketball game because Cal Poly is going to spread. They're going to go 5 out basically, and Joel arbitrating is going to be forced to come out and guard one of their stretch fours. They have no use for Joel arbitrating in this game. It's the perfect matchup for Poly because again, arbitrating, sure, if you have a post-up team, like if Riverside somehow wins, they play UCI. Bent Leichtston, obviously, potentially the player of the year, it's going to be Tate Jones, but second best player in the Big West this season, right? Actually, Barrington Hargis might get second. No, it's gonna be Tate Jones, Leichtston, Hargis. Anyways, I forget his name. Bakersfield guy's pretty solid too. Anyways, what arbitrating is going to give you a lot of help in that UCI matchup because again, Leichtston's a post player and most teams in the Big West have to double Leichtston. Well, you can just keep arbitrating on him, and that's how again Riverside had a lot of success against Irvine when they beat them. Even hell, a team like UCSD who does shoot more, but does again have guys who will attack the basket like Tate Jones. Okay, arbitrating's there. In a matchup with Poly, he's no use to them. And again, it's like Rudy Gobert. With a team that you're going to have a really solid big on, obviously, Gobert's going to make a huge impact. But if you're playing, I don't know, the New York Knicks, right? And this is how, if you're playing a team with Karl Anthony Towns on it, obviously, and yes, Cat can drive, but Cat can also shoot too. Gobert's not the biggest help because you don't need interior presence. So in this game, Joel arbitrating will play. He's going to start, but they have no use for him on the defensive end. On the offensive end, sure, again, he's going to grab offensive boards and miss shots for Riverside. I expect a lot of that tonight. But if you just put 2 guys on him and box him out, I mean, again, yes, it might leave for some open shots, but even UCR's best player, Barrington Hargis, not the best pure shooter, very good attacker of the basket. I'll get another comp. He's like Scoot Henderson, kind of. Like, he's a very good, he can rim run, he's solid, decent mid-range game, but really doesn't shoot the 3 ball all that well. Right? He can hit some shots, but he's not the best 3-point shooter. And trust me, I watch the Big West all the time. The Big West, Big Ten. I mean, these Big West, Big Ten, Mountain West. These are my conferences. I watch all the time. I just don't think UCR matches up well with Cal Poly. So we look at this matchup again. Poly beat them the last time. We get Cal Poly at plus 180, plus 4.5. These are just the odds I found like recently because I'm recording this video again kind of soon after the Poly Davis game. So I don't know if these odds are going to shift at all. I'm taking Cal Poly money line. I don't mind the spread either. I'll probably play both. But give me Cal Poly to win the game outright. They are going to outpace this UCR team tonight. I really believe so. They're just quicker than this team. The shooting's going to get to Riverside, and I think Poly's going to be playing with a lot of confidence after their win yesterday against UCD coming back. And because of the last game played at St. Louis Obispo, man, I think Cal Poly's going to be playing really well in this game, and I think they beat UCR outright. Shame for that cesspool. I'll give credit to where credit is due. They had a good season this year, but the cesspool is getting eliminated tonight. Again, I like Hargis. I like arbitrating. Just the school's a cesspool itself. Don't like the school. Give me Cal Poly to beat that absolute cesspool and eliminate them tonight. Let's look at the Big West tourney. Obviously, best bets are done for today. We're going to look at the rest of the tournaments. So again, we have Poly as a 7 seed going on to play the 2 and UCI in the semifinals tomorrow. CSUN, UCSB. UCSB's decent, but give me CSUN. So CSUN, UCSD. I think CSUN can give them a run for their money. I wouldn't be surprised if they upset UC San Diego, but I will take UCSD to go to the championship game. For as much as I think Cal Poly's decent, again, the matchup with a team like UCI, Leichtston, the shooters, Hahn, Che, I believe they're all healthy now, Devin Tillis, it makes it really difficult on Poly to win a matchup against UCI. So UCI is going to win that again. I'm just saying Poly matches up really well. Like yesterday, they matched up well with Davis. They match up well with UCR. They match up well with Bakersfield. Santa Barbara, kind of a tough matchup. But right, against UCI beats them. UCI versus UC San Diego in the championship game, they're 1-1 this season. I think they're really close. For the sake of let's get a 2-bid Big West, give me UCI to win. They both get in the tournament. Absolutely would love to see it. I think actually, again, if we got that game Saturday night, I would still pick Irvine. I would like to go to that game, but I'm going to All Elite Wrestling the same exact time of that game. I will be in Vegas, but I'm going to go to All Elite Wrestling. I should probably go to the Big West tournament. No, I'd rather watch wrestling. That's, it is what it is. Anyways, let's go to the the MAAC, right. MAAC time. Akron's probably winning this thing. Let's just be honest. One of the smallest teams in college basketball, but Akron likely wins. They beat Bowling Green today. I think they should. Toledo, Ohio. Toledo. Ohio, no, I'll give it to Toledo. Miami of Ohio versus Eastern Michigan. Miami of Ohio. Kent State destroys West Michigan. That's not a basketball game. I think my prediction at the beginning of the season, when we were talking about the MAAC on our first ever college basketball best bets video, I think will come true on Saturday. I do think the championship of this tournament is still Akron-Kent State. I think Akron wins. I think Kent State, obviously, they've shown up at the end of the season, and they're going to continue to show up in this tournament. But ultimately, yes, the Zips are winning the MAAC. To the Atlantic 10. Yeah, so yesterday, Davidson beat Richmond, Fordham beat Rhode Island, LaSalle beat UMass. That really doesn't affect any of our predictions in this conference, just doesn't. George Washington's gonna have to beat Fordham now and not Rhode Island before they ultimately lose to George Mason. Well, again, after tomorrow, we're gonna get some changes potentially in our predictions for this tourney. I still expect VCU and George Mason in the championship game, and I expect the Rams to win the entire thing. ACC. So we're down to 8. Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, North Carolina, Stanford, Louisville, Clemson, Southern Methodist. My championship game still Duke, Louisville. I still am under the belief I think Louisville can upset them in the championship game. I still believe that. We'll see what happens. In terms of the other games, I mean, UNC needs to win. If UNC can win tomorrow, it sets up for a huge matchup tomorrow where they can potentially go to the tournament by beating Duke. If Georgia Tech somehow finds an upset, UNC is going to love that. I just don't think that's happening. I think Stanford can give Louisville a run. I think Stanford would beat a lot of these teams in this Final 8 right now. Trust me with Maxime Reynaud. I think they beat everyone in this Final 8 except for Louisville and Duke. Yes, including Clemson. I think they'd give Clemson a run, but they just ran into the wrong team. Stanford's going to lose. Love SMU, kind of. Not really. I like the heart out of SMU, kind of. They were fun this year, but Clemson's getting them out of there tonight. I think SMU can give them a fight, but so Duke, UNC, Louisville, Clemson. Big 12, right? We're down to 8. Again, shout out to Colorado. They keep winning, right? I thought TCU was going to get them. Didn't. They beat WVU last night. Again, I don't think the Mountaineers deserve to be in the tournament. I know they have some big wins. They'll still get in. I just think, you lose to Colorado. It's what? Iowa State beat Cincy. Yeah, expected. Again, I still don't think Iowa State's that good. For being, they're ranked 13th in the country. Yeah, I think BYU's better than them. I know BYU's kind of fraudulent. I think they actually beat Iowa State. It doesn't matter. Whoever wins that game is losing to Houston. I just don't think the Cyclones are all that great right now. I just don't think so, okay? I think BYU beats them. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cyclones win. But again, it doesn't matter. Houston's beating whoever wins that game. Texas Tech, Baylor. Give me Texas Tech. Arizona, Kansas. Again, we said it earlier. Arizona's the 6th best bet today, so Arizona. I still think Arizona-Houston championship game with Houston winning. The Americans. So yesterday we got Charlotte to beat Rice. We did predict that one right. I told you again that team was going to find a way and win as dogs. So good on them. They're losing to FAU today. Wichita State, South Florida. Give me Wichita, I think. Temple, Tulsa. Flip a coin. No, Temple should win. I should know this. I don't. Off the top of my head, I don't think Mashburn's back. Maybe he is, but Temple's actually been playing okay, like decent enough without Mashburn, so it can be Temple. ECU, UTSA. ECU should be UTSA. Memphis is winning the entire thing. SEC, UAB, give a look to UAB, but no, Memphis is winning. SEC, right? Arkansas beat South Carolina, almost choked a 20-point lead in the second half, but the Razorbacks win. Vandy, Texas. Vandy just sucked. Mississippi State, LSU. Obviously, again, Mississippi State won. And then Georgia, Oklahoma. Oklahoma picking up a pretty good victory to probably put them in the tournament now. Ole Miss, Arkansas. Ole Miss probably wins. Can't trust Arkansas. A&M, Texas. A&M's winning. Missouri, Mississippi State. I like Missouri a lot in that game. Kentucky, Oklahoma. Kentucky probably wins. I still think Auburn, Alabama. Wouldn't be surprised if Florida gets in there. I think Auburn's winning the tournament. SWAC time. Oh, man, Florida A&M got last night. Losing to Jackson State. It sucks. And obviously Grambling with the huge upset and overtime victory over the Southern Jaguars. I mean, the end of regulation in that game was crazy. It was, it was basically who was trying to lose more. And they eventually both try to lose more because they go into overtime. I thought Southern was going to get them in overtime. They didn't. Grambling wins. This tournament is wide open now. Now, ultimately, the winner of this was probably always going into the first four. There was a chance if Southern won it, they would get to skip the first four because they were so dominant in the regular season, but they lose to Grambling. So now it's wide open in the SWAC. I love the SWAC. Bethune-Cookman, Alcorn State. I think Bethune wins. They've been very shaky this year, but, Alcorn could get them. I'll take Bethune, though. Southern versus Alabama State. I'll take Alabama State. It's close for me. It's really close. Give me Alabama State. And I think Alabama State's going to the championship. I think they beat Grambling. Jackson State, Alcorn State, Jackson State. I think Jackson State wins it now. I think Jackson State's my champion of this thing. I don't think Bethune's good. If Alcorn gets in, they're not very good either. I mean, that's why I like Florida A&M a lot, but they just came up short yesterday. I always thought Southern was winning this thing, but their loss yesterday, oh God, what are we doing now? I think Jackson State wins it. Give me Jackson State. MAAC time. Norfolk State beats Maryland Eastern Shore. A little bit too close. I mean, they were winning the entire game, but 7-point win, really? South Carolina State beats Coppin State. Closer game than we thought. Nothing changes here. Went over yesterday. We think Delaware State beats North Carolina Central. We think Morgan State beats Howard. I still think Norfolk State wins the entire thing, and they're going to give someone trouble. Again, FGCU 15 seed vibes. I'm just saying. St. Peter's vibes. Watch out for Norfolk State as a 15, guys. Look at Bracketology. Who's a 2 right now? Michigan. Oh, they're not beating Michigan State. Tennessee. Oh, they're not beating Tennessee. Texas Tech. Boom. Like JT Toppin and T-Tech, man. But if this is Texas Tech, Norfolk State, if Norfolk State moves up to the 15, I might pick Norfolk State to beat them. Brian Moore, watch out. Just saying. If I get that right, winning my bracket. Anyways, CUSA, nothing changes here. Liberty's winning. There. Okay, they beat UTEP like they should have, and Jacksonville State beats FIU. They're still fraudulent. Liberty's winning that thing. And then we finish with the WAC. Utah Valley beat Utah Tech. GCU beat UT Arlington. Again, nothing really changes here. I think Seattle University might be able to give Utah Valley a fight. Cal Baptist Arlington, doesn't matter who wins that. Grand Canyon's winning the entire thing. I think Utah Valley's going to play them close, but yes, I think the Lopes ultimately win the entire thing here in the WAC. So folks, that'll do it for our 5 best bets here for college basketball here on Thursday, March 13th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow again for more daily college basketball best bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.